in creating, she created this 5 types of hunger to help us to be more aware of what we eat and why we eat so that we can make better decisions, right? So when we kind of understand when we're hungry and why we're hungry, it helps us to know, are we eating because we're hungry? Are we eating because of habits? It helps us to create just a better sense of awareness around our choices, and really to create a positive relationship with food, right? We don't want it to be something that we feel addicted to or that we have to have in different situations, and really understanding this, I think, again, just gives you another element of control, and helps you to feel great so that it can help you to continue to promote your weight loss and eat for the goals that you have, right? So I just think that is so crucial. Like, we think about that as eating for our goals. That doesn't mean we don't enjoy food and we don't enjoy events and things, but it really allows us to be in more control. So I'm going to go through these 5 types of hunger. I'm going to tell you like what they are. I'm going to tell you usually some obstacles that we have with them. And then I'm also going to help you to see how you can help yourself through any obstacles with that too. So feel free to take some notes, and start applying this week as you start to really to think about your eating and when you're hungry or not. All right. And any questions you guys have, put in the chat, or you can stop me anytime and I'll try to answer those too. All right. So number 1, first type of hunger we're going to talk about is physical hunger, right? So physical hunger is just that, when we really are hungry and our body really needs fuel, right? So I always think like the best gauge of this is, and I ask my kids a lot this all the time because they always tell me how hungry they are, but would you eat anything that's available, right? Or are you looking for a specific food, right? So if you find yourself like saying, oh, I'm so hungry, but I only want to eat kettle corn popcorn, probably not hunger, something else, and we need to kind of like look at that, right? But if you're like, okay, I just need to eat, like get fuel in my body, like that's probably physical hunger. And physical hunger isn't like all of the sudden, it comes on gradually, right? As we get more hungry. So one word that, as we talk about hunger, is something that we really want to stay away from is the word starving, right? I'm starving, and the reason that I guide you to choose some other vocabulary other than starving is because it really creates more of an urge for us to eat, right? It makes us feel more impulsive about our choices rather than feel like that we can be in control, right? So replace that word with some better phrases that create more positivity in your mindset. Like, wow, I'm really hungry right now. I need to get some water first and find where I can eat that will nourish my body well, right? Instead of saying, I'm starving, I've got to go through this drive-through, I don't have any other choice, right? So start to just allow yourself to calm down, right? And that's what I talked about even with the water too, like training ourselves instead of saying, I'm famished, I need to eat right now. Like I say, oh, I am so hungry, so I got to put myself in a good position. I'm going to have my water, and then I'm going to get something to eat that will really help my body to feel good, right? So some things that can really help you as you experience physical hunger, right? So if you find yourself throughout the week saying, I am just really hungry all of the time. So one thing I want you to do is, 1, look at your tracker, right? We always can go there to diagnose and find what the answers are. So if you find yourself hungry a lot, one thing that you can do is to try to add a little bit more protein, right? Your protein is built to help you to stay full and satisfied. So it will help you to stay full and satisfied a little bit longer. Maybe if you feel like hungry and you're kind of lacking energy, you could look at adding a good fiber-filled carbohydrate. Or maybe you need to add just a little bit more healthy fats, because healthy fats will help you to stay satiated. So, maybe adding a little bit of seeds or nuts to your salads, or, you know, a little bit of cheese or something like that. So, you know, continue to just, you know, use that plate it method for those doing the 2B mindsets, using your containers. But if you do feel like you're hungry a lot, you know, we can look at adjusting that, whether it's with Portion Fix and we're looking at adjusting your brackets. But usually that's a good way to go to, is to first try adding a little bit more protein. And then if you're feeling like you need a little bit more energy, to kind of look at adding carbohydrates too. All right, so hunger number 2, sense hunger. So let's talk about our 5 senses and how they can kind of lead us to hunger, right? So first, sight. So when we see something, so maybe we see others eating chips and feel hungry to have them too. Maybe there's a candy dish out, and when we see that, we just naturally grab some of the food out of that, right? So that's kind of seeing, that sense hunger. Smelling. So maybe you are driving down the street, or maybe you're in the grocery store and you smell all of that fresh baked bread or those pastries, you know, as we go through the bakery section, right? And then all of a sudden you want that pastry, like that can be your sense of smell. Taste, right? When maybe you have seen something, and so you decide, okay, I'm going to have one bite to eat, you know, one bite to taste, but you want to go back for more, right? So that can be kind of that taste hunger. Touch, right? So, man, the restaurants have this one down, don't they? So they put that bread basket in front of us, and it's nice and warm. We feel it, and it, you know, it's just, man, the perfect bread, and maybe it has a good crunch on the outside that we can hear as we break it apart, and feels so warm and good. So that could be our sense of touch. And then our sense of hearing. So Biz, you went to a movie lately, and everyone that I go to, they have this Coke commercial where they drop the ice in and they fill it up with the Coke, and then they're popping the popcorn, right? And we're hearing that. You know, maybe you see a restaurant commercial where they bring out fajitas that are sizzling, right? And all of that. Like, that is to trigger our sense of hunger through what we hear, right? So when you come across sense hunger, and sense hunger isn't always bad, right? Like, but when it's something, when we're diagnosing, do I want this, I want you to put in practice the catchphrase Dinteo, right? So Dinteo stands for, do I need this eating opportunity? Do I need this eating opportunity? Like, really get good at asking yourself that question. And why do you think that helps us when we stop and ask ourselves that question?
I think that that's one that I've really had to use this week, because I need to focus on the fact that I don't need it. I just want it right now. Like, there's something else that is making me want the packages of terrible food sitting at the school. You know, it's one of those senses that is making me want it. It's that it's there. I see it. I don't need it. You know, I'm not truly hungry. I just had breakfast 30 minutes ago. I don't need the donut. I just want it.
Yeah. So it's a really great phrase to ask yourself, you know, and to just give yourself enough of that pause to adjust your willpower and your mindset too. Wendy, did you have anything to add?
I don't think so, because my containers, I'm missing some of my food because like the yellow containers just kill me, because now I'm finding I'm not eating stuff because I'd rather have this for my yellow instead of something else for my yellow. Mm-hmm. And it's tough because the peas and the lima beans are my favorite, and they're in the yellow.
Yeah, good. So it kind of gives you an opportunity to make that connection there on what you want most, what's most valuable to you too.
And I'd still like the cheat days for the 4. But like the lady at work, she had said, well, now that we have a new team member working different days, she said, we can have 2 donut days. And I said, well, as long as they're not 2 in a row. I said, we can have 2 a month.
Yeah, for sure. Good. So how can you help yourself through sense hunger? So one thing I think is just thinking ahead of the situation, right? Be purposeful and plan when you are going out to eat or when you're at social events, like, or, and that could even be work too, right? Like if you do have a donut day, like understanding and knowing that that's there and what choice you're going to make ahead of time, like that helps a lot. Another great technique to apply is called the push-off method. And I think, Mindy, it was you and I that talked about that, the push-off method this week, where if you kind of sense that you really want something, but you're not eating it out of hunger, maybe push it off or say, okay, well, I could have this now, or, I was planning to have a treat with my kids watching a movie later tonight. So which one do you want more? Maybe you're going to push off that craving because you want to really enjoy that time with your family and having fun with them and stuff like that, right? So a lot of times we can push that off to a better time, to a more mindful time. So, and you guys watch your videos, whether, in the, they talk about sugar addictions and cravings and how to overcome that in the Ultimate Portion Fix. There's great videos on eating out, social events, traveling, in the To Be mindset. So, just make sure that you watch those and apply those and know that you have that choice. And then if you do choose to indulge, make sure you just track it, right? Just track it so that you have a good accountability for what's going on and you can see how it helps you with your weight loss. Okay, number 3, emotional hunger. So let's talk about some emotions, because I don't think it's a necessary question to ask, does anyone experience emotional hunger? We all do at times, right? So it's kind of important to just really maybe understand what that means. Really, we hear that phrase a lot, emotional eating. It's really what it means and how it typically happens for us, and really how we can really start to understand those triggers and things to better deal with those in a more positive way. So some different emotions, maybe lonely or sad, right? So when we feel lonely or sad, maybe we're just mindlessly eating and taking food in. Maybe when we're anxious or stressed, does anyone get this? Like they start to eat a little bit quicker, like that eating process is faster. They don't remember what you ate. You're just reaching and searching for food. Sometimes I think that can come also as a distraction too, right? Like looking for that distraction from doing something or, taking care of something that's made us stressed or anxious. We just mindlessly look for food. When we're mad or angry or upset, we can often eat to comfort ourselves, right? That comfort food. And then this is a big one, I think, FOMO. Eating because we fear that we're going to miss out, right? Is that not huge? Like we see others enjoying, a treat or something, silly like a donut, and it makes us want it even if we're not hungry. I think so I grew up in a large family. So we had 6 kids, and then a little bit later, after I was a little bit older, my dad and mom had 2 more. So there's 8 kids in our family, right? So we always had FOMO, right? There wasn't a time, because it was almost like if you didn't take that treat now, like you were probably not going to get it. And in your mind, you couldn't not have it, right? Like you had to have some of that. You didn't want to miss out. So I think, from childhood, even just adapted a lot of those habits of, man, if it's there, you better take it now, right? And then also I think sometimes we get ourselves in a situation where, maybe people are what I would call like a food pusher, right? So food pushers are, and their intentions might not be negative, but they often, want us to jump in, right? They don't want us to stand on the sideline. Like, Biz, I think you said you had donuts at work this week and everybody was having one. You decided not to. There was another lady, you could tell, she was like, I really don't want one, but I feel like I need to, right? Because she had to be part of that crowd. And, Elizabeth did a great job and just kind of grabbed her and said, hey, I'm not going to have one, so don't have one with me, right? And that's, I think, how you really help yourself through that, is to be a leader, not a follower, right? lead through that. You can do that eating out too. When you eat out, like, be the first to order, right? Know what you're going to have, be the first to order, because a lot of times others will kind of follow whatever the first person kind of does or says with that too. And, one other emotion that I think that we encounter quite a bit is self-sabotage, right? And I talked about this in a post, I think on my Facebook page this week, and that, just kind of being scared to leave that comfort zone and afraid to see more progress, right? So we eat more even though we're not hungry, just so that we can stay kind of at that weight or stay where we're at. So I just encourage yourself to, like, keep building yourself up, right? Keep that positive self-development and keep growing through that, because it is hard and it can be scary, even if it's a positive thing that we're growing to somewhere we haven't been before. So again, some good ways to help you through that. Recognize it and be okay with recognizing that to yourself. And then keep tracking during those times, right? I've seen some really good, I've seen you guys do some really good journaling within your food journals and your trackers, where you're tracking emotions and kind of looking at how you're feeling, and tracking a lot of that, around your food, not just your food. And that is so valuable. You start to understand certain situations or certain times and what's happening, and then you can really apply a more productive method to helping you to satisfy those emotional needs that we have, to do that. So, and, like I said, be a leader, right? Don't be afraid to lead out, because I guarantee there's a lot of people who want to eat better who struggle with that, like social pressures, that we get ourselves in. So if you lead, not only will you can help yourself, but I bet you'll find other people that you can help too. And that just makes you stronger and stronger, in those mindsets too. Anything else about emotional eating or questions? I know that's just a huge topic, but hopefully kind of just understanding a few of those types of emotions will really help too. Okay, so number 4 is mind hunger. And when I say mind hunger, what I'm talking about is really eating according to our beliefs or our thoughts, right? So our mind tells us to eat for certain beliefs or reasons, and we just do that even though we're not hungry, right? So a big one that I see a lot is with people who are working out, right? So we believe, okay, well, I've worked out and, so I deserve this piece of pizza, or I've earned this cookie, right? So we kind of put ourselves in a position where, we believe that we should do this because of some of the things that we've done. So, trying to think of like another good example. Oh, I think like dieting rules too, just in general, right? Continuing to follow some of those rules. So like, I had a friend, this will be a good example, I think, that was doing Weight Watchers. So with Weight Watchers, you have points each day, right? So you can eat so many points, or I think it was even a week, you could do it through the week. And so she would save these points through the week. So she would eat pretty well, right? And she would save up all these points so that she could go drinking with her friends on the weekend, right? So she, followed the system, but didn't really help herself to live a healthy lifestyle because of what she was doing, right? So again, like I would say, like, just be mindful and help yourself by making sure that you're asking yourself if you're actually hungry, and celebrate and reward yourself with other things other than food. So Elizabeth posted today about her bullet journal that she bought, as a reward for losing that first 5 pounds. And that's awesome, right? A book I recommended this week was to read The Champagne Diet. And one thing that she talks about in there that really changed my mindset was, she said, we deserve to feel good and pretty and confident at every stage that we're at, right? You know, because when I first lost my 25 pounds that I lost 5 years ago, I was wearing around still my size 14 pants, and I just cinched them up really tight with a belt, and like, so they had all the bunchiness and gaps, but I wouldn't let myself buy new clothes because I said I haven't reached my goal yet. You know, whatever in my mind had told me what this goal weight was, and I hadn't gotten there yet, so I didn't deserve to reward myself. We can't do that, right? We have to celebrate and feel good about ourselves at every stage of what we do. So helping yourself to kind of reward yourself and to do that in some other ways other than food, I think is really, really important. All right. So in our last one, sleep deprived hunger. You guys, sleep is so important. When we don't get good quality sleep, it actually makes us to feel hungrier, right? So there's some studies that, I can share with you if this is something that you really want to educate yourself more and be more involved with. But 1 in 3 Americans are obese, and they actually did a study that showed that those people who had 6 hours or less of sleep per night had a higher prevalence of obesity, mental distress, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, like a lot of different health concerns through that, right? So when we sleep less, one of our hunger hormones called ghrelin, right, starts to work more, and it actually makes us hungrier. That's why when you eat late at night, a lot of times it's not as easy to stop eating, right? Like you could continue eating even though, you just never get that sense of craving fulfilled. So being mindful of your sleep is really important, and really aim to get at least 7 or 8 hours of good sleep each night. And it helps a lot, not only for you to feel good and have more energy, but it will really help promote your weight loss too. So that's our big 5, you guys. And I think we're going to get cut off pretty soon. It was a little bit longer tonight, but I think that those are important, and it's so good to be able to understand those and be able to apply those so that